What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I will be talking about your Mars falling into your partner's 8th house. This is an overlay which has been pretty requested by many of you. And so I decided to do it because this overlay is very interesting to me as well. So I hope you enjoy this video on having your Mars in your partner's 8th house. If you do like it, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. And so without further ado, let's get into this video. This overlay shows that the connection is one that is very intense. There can be strong passion between the two partners, and there can be a lot of loyalty between each other. This connection is one that shows so much tension in the relationship too. And something about this connection usually feels risky in some way, because the 12th house usually has to do with some dark, secretive, and even taboo subjects. Initially, both the house person and the Mars person may feel that it is an opposites attract kind of a connection, where they're not each other's usual types. But nevertheless, a attraction can still exist between these two partners. And when they come together, that is when this deeply intense yet very passionate kind of a connection starts to exist. And that connection can really grow to an almost overwhelming kind of extent. The 8th house is very intimate and yet still so secretive. Beneath the surface, both of the partners can be experiencing a very transformative connection. With this overlay, there can be a runner-chaser kind of a dynamic that is going on between both of the partners. And because of the intensity and how overwhelming it can be that at times each of the partners may want to get away or feel like they need to get away from this connection, even if it's just for a little while. With this overlay, the connection runs so deep, and it can even be very deep on a psychological level. And with the Mars person coming into the house person's 8th house, it can be that the Mars person can trigger those hidden parts of the 8th house person to come up to the surface. And if the Mars person really wanted to, they could manipulate the house person because of this kind of insight and kind of access into the deep parts of the house person that they may have kept hidden. And so with this overlay, there is also the potential for it to be a little bit damaging to some. So Mars is all about how we assert ourselves and basically how we go to war to get what we want and how we choose to go after what we want. It also shows our more primal nature and what we want and what we prefer when it comes to intimacy, as well as how we go about pursuing what we want and prefer when it comes to intimacy. It also shows attraction, and it is very lustful energy. The Mars person in this overlay has a desire to dive deep into their house partner and wants to know more about them. And at the same time, Mars is provoking the hidden desires within the house person to come up to the surface. And in many cases, Mars can actually really help the house person to fulfill these desires. With this overlay, the Mars person might be more outwardly expressive when it comes to how they feel about the house person. And the house person might be a little bit harder to read as far as their feelings that they have towards the Mars person. This connection that they share can be traumatic at times, and it can even be addictive. This overlay shows that this is the kind of a connection where it's very easy for boundaries to be violated. And so it can be difficult and a little bit challenging to deal with, especially for the house person. And that's even more so for them if they don't already have a lot of Scorpio placements, or if they don't have a lot of Plutonian placements in relation to Mars that could help with them being more familiar or more used to this kind of energy. Another thing to mention with this overlay is how, because the 8th house also has to do with shared resources, taxes, when it comes to the more financial matters, this overlay can also show the Mars person potentially being able to get the house person into quite a lot of debt by drastic amounts. Both Pluto, which is the ruler of the 8th house, and Mars are both planets that like to be in control. And it's almost certain that with this overlay, there will be power struggles between the partners. It can be subtly damaging to both of the partners. There can be a lot of conflicts, a lot of fighting, arguments, and a lot of challenges that they go through together with this overlay, especially if Mars is in a more aggressive sign. And if either of the partners try to change each other, they may come to find that it is themselves that is getting changed in the process. And it can feel a lot like losing yourself with this overlay. And that is because it goes so deep for both of the partners with this overlay. And obsession is felt here for both of the partners. The difference is seen in how either of the partners expresses it within the connection. But overall, this is a connection that is so much more than just an amazingly deep and intense fling. Well, that does it for today's video on having your Mars in your partner's 8th house. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more videos. That is where I love and leave you. Bye, guys.